Okay, so you know how this works. You send us stuff, we dive in, and this time, you've really given us something to think about. It's a whole system for managing facilities, and we're going to break it all down for you today.
Yeah, a ton of material to work with. We've got this YouTube demo that shows the software in action, then a bunch of audio clips all about how their work order process is supposed to actually flow in the real world.
So what's the big picture here? We're trying to figure out if this software can really live up to its promises. Can it actually make managing buildings and all the maintenance that goes with it? Can it make that whole world simpler and easier to handle? And can it give you, the listener, the kind of clear data you need to make smart decisions? It's the goal, right? And they're talking about ease of use being baked right in, keeping everyone in the loop, automatically no more chasing down updates, and giving you solid reports so you're not just guessing.
Right off the bat, the demo makes it clear that they're all about a user-friendly experience. They even use this phrase, colorful big button interface, which honestly, when I first heard it, I was a little skeptical. But then you see it, the dashboard they start with, and it kind of makes sense. You get these summaries of what needs to be done, what's overdue, what's been completed, all laid out in a way that's supposed to be immediately understandable, even if you've never used the system before.
Yeah, it's like they're aiming for that control room feel, where you can glance at the main screen and instantly get a sense of what's going on without having to dig through a bunch of menus. And it's not just about how it looks on a computer screen either, right? They emphasize that this interface, this whole way of interacting with the system, it's consistent across all devices. So whether you're on your phone, a tablet, a desktop PC, it's all supposed to work the same way.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, especially when you think about how many people involved in facilities management are out in the field, not sitting at a desk. If a technician can pull up a work order with all the details on their phone right there on site, that's huge. Or if a building manager can quickly check on the status of, I don't know, all the open requests from their tablet while they're walking around, that's got to save a ton of time. They did mention one thing, though. While you can technically use those detailed floor plans on a phone, they admitted it's probably going to be a much better experience on a tablet with a bigger screen, which, I appreciate that kind of honesty.
It's about setting realistic expectations, right? So, okay, let's walk through how a problem actually gets reported. The demo takes you through submitting a service request, and it looks pretty straightforward. First, you pick a category for the problem. And the interesting thing here is that these categories aren't fixed. You can customize them. They actually show you how to do it right in the system in this background data section.
Exactly. So you can set up categories that make sense for your specific buildings, the kinds of issues you actually deal with. They give examples like fire safety, which is pretty broad, and then more specific things like vandalism or safety hazard. So you can get as granular as you need to. And it's not just about having neat labels. It's about what happens after you choose that category.
Because you can actually set up rules, right? Like if someone chooses safety hazard, it can automatically trigger an email notification to whoever's in charge of safety.
Sure.
So it's not just logging the problem, it's kicking off a response, all built in. And then you've got to say where the problem is, which building, which floor, and this is where that interactive floor plan comes into play. Instead of trying to describe the location in words, you can actually click on the spot on the floor plan.
Oh yeah, that's way better than just picking from a list, trying to remember, okay, is it room 203 or 204? It's so much more accurate to just point to it on a visual map. They're talking about the key questions for any work ticket: who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that where, they say, has to be clear. A visual where makes so much more sense.
And they even thought about those situations where you might need to be even more specific, like if it's a huge room or a long corridor, you can add extra details like south end of the hallway or near the loading dock. Plus, you can attach files right when you submit the request, pictures, documents, even short videos. So you can really capture all the details up front.
Which, if you're the one who's actually going to be fixing the problem, that's a lifesaver. You're not showing up and then having to call someone to ask, okay, what exactly am I looking for? It streamlines the whole process.
Okay, so we've got the problem reported, but now we need to make sure everyone who needs to know is kept in the loop. And that's where the whole email integration thing comes in. The demo shows how, as soon as a request is submitted, the person who reported it gets an automatic email confirmation.
Yeah, and that's just good practice. It lets the person know, hey, we got your request, we're on it. But it's not just about that initial confirmation. What's really interesting is how you can control who else gets notified and when. It's not just the generic everyone gets every email kind of thing. You can set up very specific notification rules.
Yeah, they give this example of assignment rules where a ticket that comes from, say, the southern region can be automatically routed to the maintenance team that covers that area and their supervisor without going through, like, a central dispatch.
That's got to be so much faster. Instead of the request sitting in someone's inbox, waiting to be assigned, it goes straight to the people who need to deal with it.
And it's not just about internal teams either. They've got ways for external contractors to stay in the loop too, right? The demo mentions a couple of options. Contractors can click a work done button right in an email, or even just reply to the email with an update.
Yeah, it's about giving people different ways to interact with the system, depending on what makes sense for them. If a contractor's got their own, like, super fancy system, they might just need a basic notification. Others might prefer to just shoot off a quick email reply.
So it's about flexibility, making it as easy as possible for everyone to stay informed and update the status of the work. Now let's talk about what happens with all the data that's being collected. Because this system, it's not just about managing individual requests, it's also about providing you with the kind of data you need to make bigger decisions. The demo gets into some of the reporting features, and they're pretty comprehensive. Like, they show you how you can see all the completed work and costs across the entire fiscal year, broken down by each building and by month.
And that level of detail is where you can start to get some real insights. You can see trends, you can identify those areas where you're spending the most on maintenance, maybe figure out where preventive maintenance can make a big difference. It's about moving beyond just reacting to problems and starting to think more strategically. And it ties directly into what they were saying in the beginning about how reporting should help you make better decisions.
And they don't just give you these like super detailed breakdowns. They've also got these high-level summaries with key metrics laid out in a really visual way. You can see at a glance how many tickets have been submitted versus how many have been completed, what the overall costs are. It's like getting a quick health check on your whole facility's operation.
Exactly. And what's really powerful is that you can combine all these different reports, the detailed ones and the summary ones, into these bigger documents and then have them automatically emailed out to whoever needs them on a regular schedule. So like if you've got leadership who needs to stay informed but doesn't want to be logging into the system every day, they can get the information they need without having to lift a finger.
Which makes perfect sense, right? Not everyone needs to be a hands-on user of the software, but they still need to have access to the data. Now, they also touched on preventive maintenance in the demo, though they didn't go into too much depth. But they did show that you manage PM tasks within the same interface as those reactive requests, so there's that consistency again.
Right, and that's so important because if you're constantly switching between different systems or interfaces, it just adds to the mental load. Keeping everything consistent makes it much easier for people to learn and use the software effectively. They highlighted 3 main things for the PM stuff. Keeping track of all the details about your equipment, being able to create those reusable maintenance procedures, and setting up schedules for recurring maintenance.
So it's about getting organized, having a structured approach to preventive maintenance, which in the long run should save you time and money. Because if you're staying on top of routine maintenance, you're less likely to have those big unexpected breakdowns. They showed a calendar view of the PM schedule so you can visually see what's coming up. And you can even pre-assign those PM tasks to specific people, making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
So it's really trying to handle the whole spectrum from those urgent, gotta fix it now situations to the planned out long-term maintenance, all within one system.
And that's really the key takeaway here. We've looked at a system that's trying to do a lot, but it's doing it in a way that seems designed to make your life easier, not more complicated. They've got that user-friendly interface that's supposed to be the same across all your devices. The interactive floor plans, which just makes so much sense for pinpointing locations. The email integration, which is all about keeping everyone informed without creating a ton of extra work. And then those reporting features, which give you the data you need to actually understand what's going on and make smart decisions.
It's about giving you the information you need, when you need it, in a way that's clear and easy to digest, not overwhelming you with a fire hose of data.
So here's a question for you to think about as you're listening to all this. Think about your own work, your own processes, maybe even outside of facilities management. How could incorporating some of these ideas, these features, a streamlined interface, visual data, seamless communication, good reporting, how could those things change the way you work for the better? What other kinds of data could be visualized or simplified to give you more clarity and control? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.